This is your spring rundown 171. Let's get it. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Rundown episode 171. Today, we are going to be talking about Daemons of the Shadow Realm, episode 6 and 7, Wistoria season 2, episodes 5 and 6, and One Piece Elbaph Arc, episodes 1162 and 1163, or 1161 and 1162. I got ahead of myself there. But yeah, it's just me and Om today. Dan is still MIA. I think he's in I think I seen him this week. We seen him in like One Piece, where Sanji was like in the giant lady's hands or whatever, leaned up against her like breast or whatever. Pretty sure I seen Dan in there too.
Yeah, if you look really closely, you can actually see him in the background. He's a little bit smaller than everyone else in the One Piece world, as all of us are, but
Yeah.
it's one of those blink and you'll miss it moments.
Yeah, I knew I seen him. I figured I'd ask. I was talking to Nam about it, and I was like, "Did you see Dan too?" And he was like, "Yeah, I seen Dan." Like, poor dude. He's like, if he hadn't been through all them like snowboarding like shit, like all the training he's had with all that, like the cold weather and on the powder and stuff, he'd probably be freezing right now up there in Elbaph. So.
Oh, most definitely.
I think he's
Most
doing
definitely.
okay. He's probably doing okay right now. So, um, but yeah, that was fun to see. But before we get on to like the actual like rundown, I guess you can say, the best way to support us is rate us, on any of your podcast platforms. Follow us on YouTube. Join the Discord, all that stuff. Linktree.com/anime Degens is the best place to find all of our links. That way you can do all of that stuff. So, with that being said, Nam, are you ready?
I'm about as ready as I'll ever be.
Hell yeah. Love to see it.
That means we're going to be starting with Daemons of the Shadow Realm, episode 6. The Kagemori clan and the unknown assailants. And we basically start off with the Daemons, the Yin Yang Daemons, attacking against the Kagemoris. Or actually, it's not even that. It's just all the demons in general, right? And Gabby's dealing with the two really messed up
Venus.
Full Metal Alchemist callbacks. And she's actually on the phone too, trying to like figure out more about it, right? Who are these guys? What are we doing? Are you guys safe?
Can I kill them?
Yeah. She wants to know if she's good to just, tear off and whatnot.
She's like, "Can I have permission, please?"
And thank God that she does just chomp their fucking head off, right? Like I
I
was
was so
so
happy.
happy to see that. So happy. Um but that being said, it as Gabby goes outside, she also happens to see a whole bunch of eyes peering around. And so the whole place is surrounded. Absolutely surrounded. And at this point, we also get to see Asa and Yuru as they're running away with everyone else. But nobody else is really in danger. This guy's only after Asa and Yuru, the Daemons are, and they end up trapping them in this strange world.
Yeah,
What did you think about that one?
I thought it was pretty cool. Because like so like Asa and Yuru, they're like light and darkness, right? Or whatever. Like that's what their things are. Like they're uh the old like saying and stuff, like they're born of light and darkness, their powers, blah blah blah.
Yep.
whatever. So I thought it was pretty cool that we actually get to see like a Damon do this to them. Like they, I think Asa, she was like transported to like like
An all pitch black world.
yeah. What's that called? Is it like complete black or complete darkness or some shit?
Yeah.
Where you
Total
can't even like
darkness.
see the hand in front of your face or whatever. So
Or I guess true darkness is
yeah,
what they
true.
were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting, especially since this brought us like to like seeing some flashbacks and stuff. Which are you going to touch on that in a minute or not, Nom?
Um, in a little bit, yeah, because
Okay,
they do cover that.
okay, yeah. I thought the flashbacks was really cool to see right here, especially like with how scared Asa was and the reasoning behind it. And like on the other hand, you have Yuru. He's just so like um calm and collected, I guess you can say. I think he says something along the lines is like um h- the demon his Damon asked him like, how are you like discomposed or whatever. He was like, well, I'm just used to it by now. I've adapted to being confused so much that I'm just used to being confused. And I was like, that's really cool to see. So what is it?
Messed up too when you think about it.
It is, yeah. It for him to be like what 16 probably and
Yep.
already feeling that way, it's kind of crazy. But I mean,
Yeah.
look at what he's been through. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, life was totally different in like the period we'll say that they grew up in, because
Mm-hmm.
that village was trapped in an ancient time.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, continuing on though, Jin is left to clean up the Daemons at the manor, while the rest of them are like trying to keep the Yin Yang demons basically where they are and figure out how to get Asa and Yuru out. And this is actually where we learn the whole dynamic between the two of them, right? So like earlier on, I think it was like what episode 1. I think it was no, episode 2, when Asa launched that attack at Right. He was in the village
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of stopped it. Well, turns out Wright is actually trapped in the total dark with Asa, and he reveals that, yeah, I'm actually your counter. I'm meant to stop break.
This is pretty cool. I mean, it's also interesting too because I guess it kind of explains it later or whatever, like why they have their like counters or whatever, right?
Yep.
Somewhat. So just
Um,
interesting to see that come up. So
it was. And then we also learned too that left is meant to stop Seal.
mm-hmm. Which is Yuru's
Yuru's ability, yep.
ability. So
Um, so going to Yuru and left though, they're in an all white room. They can see everything around them, right? And he decides to try out practicing his bow, in which case everything is literally just going right towards left's head. Um,
there's some fun
but
humor moments right there.
it was. It's also how we learn though that even though right and left are now moving, right, they're no longer statues. They were made out of stone and were statues.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, they are actually made out of stone.
Even though they don't look like it. But the arrows have zero damage, even though it's hitting her right in her forehead.
Yep, just literally bouncing right off.
He's like, "Why didn't you dodge it?" And she's like, "Why would I? Then I would have to go get the arrows."
Yep. Um,
She's just like me for real, lazy.
but while they're in there, Left is asking Yuru if he's concerned about Asa, and he's like, "Why would I? She's got the power of break, doesn't she? She'll get out no problem."
Mm-hmm. Look at what
And
she did to Village, you know?
exactly. Um and so yeah, just like that, she does. She breaks out of it. She's now free. But she takes it a step further, right? And I didn't really see this coming because I haven't kept up with the manga.
Mhm.
Um and at the same time with just how the imaging was at first, for this to be um where she can actually break the bond, the pact of the daemon with their owner. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either. And if I was willing to bet, I think that she might be the only one that can do that, or like one of the only ones. Like I think it's very rare to do that.
No, I think she would be the only one that could do that.
Yeah.
If
Uh,
I had to guess, because of her ability, she is the only one who should be able to actually do that.
yeah, and like as far as like what happens after, I feel like that's not her power to. Do you think her like making that her own Damon, like you think that's her power, or you think that that's just a Kagimori's like cooked up something to allow her to do that? Because I feel like that's more of like her brother's power, right? Or is that maybe included in her power? What do you think?
No, I think the whole creating a pact is something that anyone can do.
Oh, to a random demon. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
I think the ability to break a pact
It's hers alone.
is
Yeah.
hers alone because it's literally her ability.
Okay. That now that makes more sense because I was wondering how she was able to make it her own or whatever, right? And that makes a lot of sense now. I thought
Yeah.
maybe that they cooked up something and nobody else could do that or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, no, that's something where she is the only one that can actually break a pact because I mean again, the name break.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like, how she was like, it's so interesting to see the side of Asa too, because like each time I feel like each episode we see her, she keeps on getting softer and cuter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting to see a lot different of a side from her now than we've seen previously.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the first like 5 minutes of this episode, she was talking about wanting a hug or some shit from Yuru. So like it's
Yes.
pretty cool to see. So she keeps on wanting them hugs and he just ain't giving it. So
I mean, I don't blame him, honestly. Like, you don't know who this Asa is,
mhm.
right? And you've just been lied to your entire life. You want to figure out what's going on, first and
Yeah.
foremost. So I can respect him though for that.
Mhm.
Um, but as she does, right, and she then makes the bond to herself, uh, she tells the daemon to free Yuru, which he does, and then they actually go and find the old master of the Yin Yang Daemons. Turns out he was literally just around the corner. He wasn't too far at all. um, but now the Daemons and the invaders are cleared out one by one, as or until there is just one man, um, or one by one until a man with a sword decides to leave. Right, he's kind of sitting out in the woods too, so he seems like he's going to be a prominent figure, right? And
Yeah.
he had what, two swords, I think, two or three swords.
I think it was two swords sheathed, I believe, right?
Yep.
And it definitely seemed like he was more of a mastermind type character. So, because it sort of seemed like he's the one that like made this attack happen or something like that. He's like, oh, I should have known that this wouldn't go so well with a bunch of random hired mercenaries or some shit, and he's like, "It's time to dip. Try again later," or some shit.
Yeah. So now that he's gone and left, there's only one older man, right? And he's trying to like, I don't know, it looked like he was trying to sneak in, but he may have been trying to sneak out. And then he ends up running into the one big guy, the one big Daemon that we didn't get to see because he's
Ah.
way too big. And yeah, he's killed pretty quickly.
Poor dude.
Uh, and now that he's done, they have absolutely no idea on who attacked them. So now they just have to wait until their master gets back while torturing the captives.
What'd you think about the torture strategies? Would you
Oh, it
fold?
was, oh God, yes, instantly.
So
I
like
would have
they
begged them to stop.
so basically like they was having them set on their like legs or whatever.
The
Not really
turtle
crisscross, but like it was like having them set down like on their knees or
would have
whatever, and
folded
then they
over.
had the turtles like apply pressure to their legs while they were sitting on them, and like I can't imagine like you would probably feel like your whole like lower body was snapping probably. The
Oh
amount of
yeah,
pain, would be excruciating probably.
to a real human, your leg probably would have already been snapped off.
Yeah. I mean, just
Just
imagine like how like discomforting it is like if you got like pin and needles or whatever, right? So like if they go numb and you get pins and needles, and imagine like 100 times that, like feeling of discomfort or whatever. Like, that's crazy.
oh yeah.
Pain.
Um, but from there, the group does not learn anything new.
Yeah. Because the one dude
Also,
that died was the only key, right?
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point, um, what is it? Also starts asking the man about the Daemons, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are their names and stuff like that. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't bother trying to learn it. They're just Daemons.
They're like, hey, you, that's their names.
Um, and this really pisses Gabby off, right? Which is actually kind of a cool thing to see because I really didn't expect this out of her. And for her to like step up like this and be that kind of a character that really cares like that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it also shows like I think it also sort of like leans into the aspect of like maybe these people aren't so bad after all. Maybe they ain't the bad guys. Maybe the village was the bad guys. Because like I feel like if Gabby and them was truly bad guys, they wouldn't really give a shit about what Damon's felt like or whatever, right? And like
oh,
so
not at
it's
all.
yeah, so it's really cool to see like them have like a whole scene about like Gabby like being offended and hurt over the fact that they treated Damon's like livestock, and like that Damon's had feelings too or whatever. I was like, that's really cool. That's a really cool like touching segment to throw in here to kind of make our may I think it was like making us warm up to them or whatever, right? So
I mean, kind of.
yeah.
I think that there's a lot more to this show than what we're being led to believe, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what one thing that the mangaka really leans on is like the whole misdirection in the story until it gets to those key points. um, but anyways, Gabby takes this personally. She almost chomps the guy's head off, but we do get to learn that a big reason for this is because the rabbit Daemon revealed that they do have names and feelings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Daemons are just basically creatures at the end of the day, and we need to treat them with respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And you
why they sold them out so easily.
yeah, I was gonna say, and you probably get like a it's kind of like Pokemon, right? Like if you treat your Pokemon like this was like a tried and true lesson in Pokemon. You treat your Pokemon right and you treat them with love, and they will go above their limits for you. But if you don't, they give up so much easier. Like we've seen it all the time in like Pokemon when we was growing up. So it's cool to see
Yeah,
it like translating here. It's literally the same thing. So
exactly. Um, Last bit of news drop that we got. Asa's died once.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, sorry guys. Asa died once.
Yeah, there's just
And
like, oh, by the way.
yeah, we're gonna learn what happened with her eye too, which by the way, it's pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
um but that being said, that is the end of episode 6. Anything more you want to talk about on this episode before we move on, Tyler?
Uh no, I don't think so. Like I think you covered it pretty well. It's just crazy to end on that note, like, oh, by the way, yeah, I've actually died once before. Let me tell you about this.
Oh brother, hey, yeah, sorry, I died once. What? Okay. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, so it was interesting to hear that all of a sudden because you didn't. Yeah, I don't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. So,
No.
um,
No, that was a huge bomb drop right there. Um so that being said, episode 7, Asa and Break. Would you like to guess what this episode is going to be about?
probably about how she obtained her power.
Well, I was going to say it's probably going to be about Asa and the power break.
Yeah, but
um so we hear the episode actually starts off really weird. We hear of Yuru's last time meeting someone, right? Or first time meeting someone that wasn't from the village, and it was actually an assassin trying to kill him. He was saved actually by his father and his own efforts, right? Um, and they actually hid the events that happened. When they finally returned, they told no one of what happened. And then he plotted, actually, his father plotted with his wife when they got back to the village about something. We didn't really get to see what that was at first, but shortly thereafter, we hear that they ended up leaving with Asa, and one can only assume. So, um, yeah.
yeah. So like I think this scene like done a lot of things for me specifically is because like we're like so far into the story, like we're really I feel like we feel like Yuru. Like we're kind of confused on who our friends are. Like who's the good guys? And we don't know. Like Yuru don't know. And he still don't know. But like I feel like this like little bit of information, it kind of gives us something to go off of and kind of gives us an idea like maybe the village was the bad guys because like the dad you can tell the dad cared about Yuru and Asa, right? And the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that yeah, and the fact that he like when he got back to the village he lied, like he lied to the old woman or whatever, like the head lady or whatever. So there's a reason why he was lying. And then obviously like Nam said, like, you know, he was plotting to leave or whatever. And he took Asa with him. And I feel like there was obviously a reason behind him just taking Asa. We don't know that reason yet, I don't think, but there was
I don't
definitely a
think it was.
reason.
I don't think it was that they just wanted to take Asa. I think Asa was the easiest one for them to take, but then they got caught.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Um, yeah, I just
But that also is a mystery that won't be answered until we figure out what happened with his parents first.
yeah, which was like which was like one of the biggest things about like last episode because like they suddenly disappeared, you know, in midair or whatever. And it was like, well, this yin yang monster, Damon, like that's what they did. So maybe they know something about, the parents disappearing. That's why they was working so hard to, figure out who was behind it, because then they was like, well, maybe they're connected. Maybe, Asa and Yuru's parents disappearing out of thin air, maybe it had something to do with this Damon or whatever. So it's
Yep.
pretty cool how it's like all sort of tying back together, but also it's leaving us with like a lot of questions at the same time. So
I mean, yeah, you want questions though.
yeah, yeah.
You don't
Especially
want all the answers.
this early into the story, you
Oh yeah,
definitely don't want to know everything just yet. So
exactly. Um, but back in the present time, Asa reveals how she died.
mm-hmm.
She was actually targeted by Higashi villagers, and they ended up killing her, trying to get her to learn the power break. And upon her death, she actually met a daemon that holds the power. And it was transported to this other world, right? While in there, basically, she had a chance to choose taking my power or just perish. It's up to you.
Yes, and we didn't really like get to see all the details of what like taking the power entailed, which is interesting because like I want to know like why would someone choose death over going back to being alive. There has to be like some steep like consequences that could that possibly makes you think about choosing the second option, you know what I mean? It probably
Well,
ain't as easy.
you're constantly targeted for the rest of your life because people want your power. That's what the consequence is.
I feel like there's more than that though, is what I'm
No,
saying.
I don't think so. I think it's just you paint a giant target on your back.
Really? Oh, I can see that too, because like
So say you're kidnapped, right? And you have the ability to get the power break. Someone kills you, and you have no option of being able to get out of this. Do you give them the power that they desire?
yeah. So like I guess I don't know if you understand this or not, but like, do you understand how the transferring of powers work in this world? Because
Well,
like we
it's not that you would be transferring it, right? You would be being used as a puppet and forced to use your power against what you want to do.
Oh, so like for example, like when the villagers or whatever, right? They had her tied up in a chair or whatever, and they killed her, um, and that way she could like get the powers or whatever, because they was obviously under the impression that that's how it worked or whatever, right? And they were saying stuff like she's not coming back to life, maybe we was wrong, we're not gonna get this get the power break. So I thought that maybe there was a way that they could like extract that power or gain it for themselves or something like that. So but you're saying like they was just gonna like basically use her as a puppet, which it's kind of stupid in a way, because like obviously like a lot about like this power, so you would assume that they would know how the power kind of works to an extent, and you would know that it's not that easy to contain her. You know what I mean? I don't know, like I feel like they're just stupid for even trying to contain her when she has a power called break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a problem for another time.
Yeah.
The thought of the power is what's driving them.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then they was talking about obviously Yuru's power or whatever. So he was like, we still got his or whatever. So, um,
Yep.
but, but yeah, all that's just
Um.
interesting. It's interesting.
Yep. Um. When Asa wakes up though, after taking in the power, her right eye is basically just spewing out all this energy.
A Damon
Um.
eye.
Yep. She's got a Daemon eye now, and that's when Gabby ends up showing up shortly after she killed those two guys. And now that that happened, right? They decide to go home, and that's how she ended up with the Kagemoris.
Yeah.
And Gabby, like, she generally cared too.
Yeah, and that's what I like too about what we're seeing because we're actually getting to see like evidence supporting that Gabby and the Kagemoris are actually good people. Like they're the good guys. But we still don't know for sure. But like that's what we're getting right now. We're getting evidence of that. So it's pretty cool to see.
We're getting something. I'll admit to that.
Yeah.
We're getting something.
We just don't know what yet. We don't know what we're getting yet. We're just getting something though.
So Gabby ends up leaving though after nearly chomping that guy's head off, right? And she ends up finding the two dolls that were the former Daemons that attacked her. She ends up burying them, right? And the rest of the residents are in cleanup mode. As Dara shows up to bring Yuru home. That was interesting.
Yeah, especially since they're not really on talking terms or whatever. And he's just like, hey, yo, let me in. I'm here to pick up people or whatever.
Yep.
Where's everybody at?
But yeah, no, so as all the other residents are learning what happened, many are being introduced to Yuru for the first time. The Kagemoris reveal they plan to torture the captives again as the head of the Kagemori show up with Dara. He was like, yeah, he was just walking along and I saw him, so I picked him up.
There's no other intent to this. I just being a nice lad.
Yep. But, Jean and Gonzo still want to kill this guy.
Yeah, I thought it was funny because especially for the old man, like the old man literally gives off zero intent to kill, and then all of a sudden you just showed that his intent to kill is just as high as the other
Jean's.
dude. So yeah, well, that's pretty
Yep.
funny.
Dara also though reveals how he knew how to get his power to Yuru, right? And he decided not to tell it to him because the fact that he would have to die first is, you know, a one ridiculous way to getting a power, but two would also lead him to be more reckless with his life.
And it
And so
would.
he didn't want him to do that, knowing that he had a one-time pass.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was also at this time that Left reveals one of the twins in the past actually didn't return after trying to go and get the power, which was interesting, and just how much of a risk it is trying to obtain it.
Yeah. So also think like them telling us specifically that left telling us is that no one knows how the power is obtained. They just know that it happens after you die for the first time. So I don't think that any of them knows that it's a choice. You know what I mean? Like they don't know
But
how.
I think right and left would know,
You think
right?
so? I
They're
don't. I think that's
they're they're daemons. They would speak with the other daemons, including the abilities, the powers, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like her statement it kind of leans towards like they don't know exactly how it works once you get in there because maybe like the prior like people the kids or whatever that's not day kids or whatever maybe they don't really say how it works inside when they get in there but like whether they choose or not choose or whatever like I don't know. Maybe we'll get like a little confirmation of something like that soon. So that would be interesting to know, I think.
Oh, I don't see why Asa would lie about it.
Yeah, well, it's not that she lies about it. It's she just doesn't. Well, I mean, I guess she during
She
her
told us
like
what happened.
monologue. She basically told him, right?
Yeah, she told us exactly what happened.
Okay, yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's not like it's a secret. Nobody's
yeah,
like denying it.
yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe there is like a maybe there isn't like another risk involved though or something. I don't know. You know, maybe there's like a one-off chance that like things don't work. Maybe it's not just a choice or whatever. You know what I mean? Who knows? But yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I could see this one being pretty cut and dry.
yeah. I guess we'll see because like this also leads to the question like in order for the story to truly start, doesn't Yuru have to die? How is Yuru gonna die? Who's gonna
That is
do it?
true.
Is he gonna willingly kill himself or something to get the power, or what? You know what I mean?
No idea.
So,
But you know what is actually finally about to start for the first time?
well, I think I have an idea.
Take it away.
Yeah, the prologue is now over in Wistoria season 2, or actually the story of Wistoria begins now. Which is kind of crazy to say, especially since we're on season 2 or whatever. But here we are. You know, um,
Season 2, episode 5 at that.
yeah, season 2, episode 5. The story is just now beginning. And this one's called The Day of Departure. And for this episode, we started off with the headmistress. She's actually performing sort of like a spell on Will, and Finn is just watching. She says that she's editing his memories so that he can go back to being his usual self when he wakes up. So, I was kind of confused about this because, like, after doing such big things, shouldn't like you kind of ask him if he wants that done? Like, I feel like what he's been through and like the power that he just used and all that stuff at this time, like, kind of feel like that's pretty important to remember, like, as far as like character development, like, progress goes. And like in this world specifically, like everyone, like at this time, like I was thinking, like, literally everyone else is going to know what he did. So why would you like edit his memories or whatever, right? What was you thinking when she was like, when she said that she was editing his memories?
She's going to lock away the fact of him knowing that spell courage. And that way he wouldn't be transforming like he was. No more Super Saiyan because of copyright reasons.
Well,
no, I think ultimately though it was to stop that spell so that way he can still learn to grow and grow stronger himself instead of relying on something like that.
so you think so? Going off of that, like later on, Will actually wakes up and he remembers that his hair changed, and like he remembers, like he seems to remember like Rossi dying or whatever, right? And so that was like that makes you think, like, what exactly did she edit? Like, what did she take away? And Nam, that kind of makes sense. Like, maybe she didn't like actually edit everything. She just edited. She just kind of took away, like, got rid of his ability to know how to get into that stage. So you think that's what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes a lot of sense now um because I feel like I feel like he needs to learn how to get there again on his own or whatever. He probably did that out of like survival mode or whatever, And so it's
Well, and
interesting.
that other guy too, when he gave him the sword, he kind of like led him to, hey, you actually do know a spell. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like maybe he wasn't ready for it just yet, to fully harness the power. And maybe she wants him to build his way up to be able to truly, get it. Cause maybe, he got forced to into that thing a little too soon. Yeah, that makes sense. Actually does make sense. So, cause I was kind of confused, after he woke up and he was like, talking about things that he remember, like, what did she do? You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
but obviously we don't know if that's true or not yet, because obviously there ain't no big baddies that is capable of using that, making him use that power just yet. So, um, but it is pretty cool to see everyone like respecting Will after like what he's done. And I think Nam said, before we started recording, he's like, at least Ty, at least you could finish watching this story. At least you could finish watching Wistoria, because they didn't start shitting on Will again. They actually moved on and they started respecting him. And I thought that was really cool because he deserves it. Like, he did a lot. Like, he saved a lot of lives, even though a lot of lives was lost. But like, even the upper Magia Vonder, like upper ranks of the magicians, like, they're even talking about him, and like they're concerned enough about keeping an eye on him that they literally assigned Finn to be his shadow, basically. Um, so that was pretty cool to see, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Um, they're also trying to find out like any information about the attack that happened, because they literally have no idea. They've interrogated like all the the monsters and stuff, or looked into them, like investigated them, the carcasses and all that stuff. And they literally have zero idea on what happened, or like what's going on. So, um, there's one thing I do find like kind of interesting is like we've seen it like bits and pieces here and there, and like the chemistry between like all the Magia Vonder, like it's not there. Like, they literally fight at like they're blasting spells at each other up there, and like they act like this is a normal occurrence. And like, I think that's insane, because like these are the people that the world is counting on to keep the world safe, to keep it in balance, in check. And
Yep.
like, they're up there fighting amongst themselves, or whatever. So like, it's kind of crazy to see. But then again, like, maybe they're just scared of Lord Aaron. He seems to kind of hold it together just enough, right?
Say,
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think it's kind of weird to have them fighting with each other like that, though?
um, not really. I mean, they're gonna be, uh, you're gonna have a lot of different kind of like personalities and stuff like that flowing around, so it makes sense. You have to have some sort of conflict, even within like the good faction, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially considering like a lot of them is probably like leans egotistical, you know? So,
Exactly.
they think a lot of themselves, probably. So, um, but another thing that was pretty interesting happened, and I'm not sure. I'm hoping Nam has a little bit of insight about this, but I'm not sure if he does or not. I think it's a little too early. But Finn actually gets stopped by Iris, and she calls him by another name, Invest, to be exact. And he doesn't like it at all. He's like, I told you, not to call me that name. I would very much like it if you did not do that any longer. And she's like, well, I don't want you to interfere with Will, because if you do, the hands of the clock will advance all at once. And if that happens, then there will be no stopping that person any longer. And I feel like this is kind of foreshadowing about something, but like, I have no idea what it actually means. Do you?
Yeah, no, I have no idea what that means though. I mean, honestly, that could be a number of different things, right? Um, did we already see the flashback with him and what's his name? Will as a baby,
Will
right?
as a baby. Yeah, yeah, that was like
Two
last
episodes
rundown.
ago, I
Yeah,
think.
that was last rundown. Yeah.
Okay. So, with that being said though, I think that a lot of it's probably going to revolve around that aspect, right? Um, what is going to happen, like what's going on with all of that? Why is Will so important, right? Uh,
Oh.
and maybe the fact that Finn is trying to accelerate what Will is to become could mean that whatever Will is meant to stop is going to be accelerated, and basically Doom will be unleashed then.
What if that person is they're talking about the actual witch that was with Finn that day, you know? What if they're talking about that? Maybe she has a contract that allows her to do something if he gets to a certain point or whatever, and maybe that's what she's talking about. But why would Iris know about that? You know what I mean? Like it's so confusing, man.
I think being the mistress, she kind of has special information
Yeah, maybe.
that's normally not freely available to others.
Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. Like I guess we'll figure it out later on because right now I think it's kind of trying to tease us with it, but I do think that we're on the right track. I think it has something to do with like his past, maybe the witch, maybe his abilities, advancing too fast or something. I don't know. But I'm sure we'll see sometime or another. But for the time being, it's graduation time. Um, 49 students will ascend to the tower, including Liana, Wignall, Julius, Sion, and Colette. But before we actually leave the ceremony, there's also one more that made it at the last minute. And we learned that there's actually two ways to get into the tower. To gain enough credits, I think it's like 72 or 7,500 credits or more. Or you can create a new spell. And apparently, this is when we learned that Will is actually going to be the 50th student to go to the tower because he did create a new spell. He created the spell of courage. Um, which is also interesting because like if what Nom's saying is true and she edited that out of his memory, then and now she's bringing it back up. So maybe she wants him to know that he's got the ability to create a spell, but she wants to take away the his knowledge of how to do it. You know what I mean? So,
It would
um,
just create a a path that he now has to grind towards, is what it
yeah,
does.
yeah, what,
Which honestly is a bigger blessing than anything.
yeah. I mean, it gives him something to do. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of humbles him too in a way. Um, But Ed, Professor Ed, of course, he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, headmistress? Like, what are you talking about?" Will is not going up there, and she just like basically just waves him off. She's like, "Shut up," you know, and she's like,
You had your
there
chance
will,
to fail him, idiot.
yeah, she's like, there will be people that disagree, talking about Ed and probably a few more or whatever. And but she was like, please, if you are okay with this, if you agree with this and think that Will deserves to have the right to do this, please start applauding, please start clapping. And I really liked that there was like a lot of hesitation uh to start this out, and like Will started having like self-doubt and stuff like that, and then like you start hearing like a clapping start, and you would think there would be like someone like Colette or Workner or somebody like that, but it pans over and it's actually Sion, which I thought was really cool because Sion's like one of the ones besides like Julius that is like his rival. Like he gives him the hardest time or whatever. And I really enjoyed it being the first one to clap being Sion. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just the support that he got from everyone else that wasn't like the typical person was such a nice touch and really needed for Will's character growth in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I love seeing that. Uh, Big fan because, like I said, I wanted people to notice, recognize that Will is not just a laggard or whatever, right? A book learner. I wanted him to not get shit on anymore, and I think this is like a step towards the right direction. So, um, but one quick question before we go to the next episode. Uh, do we think Rosty's still alive? Because like we see Frosty or something on the bell tower watching the graduation. What do you think?
No, I think that that was just a astral projection for what he wishes was there.
Okay. Because we did see like Colette saying that, they didn't have a grave for Frosty. And I think that's kind of odd for it to be said, unless they're like letting us have hopes that Frosty is still somehow alive. Maybe. I don't know. You know?
Tough to say. It's way too tough to say because it could go any way.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't be mad that Frosty is still alive, but I don't think Frosty needs to be alive because I think that Frosty was just a tool to help Will get to where he needed to be, and I think that Will don't need that anymore. So, because like that's Elfie's job now. So, um, but yeah. So now we get on to episode 6 called "The First Bloom." And everyone's dressed up in their new colorless fits and are ready to ascend the tower. And Will also gets a new sword, which is really cool looking. It's like colorless, like when we say colorless, it's just white or whatever. And apparently it's supposed to cut through magic just as good as before, and it amplifies the magic stored in the gems around the capital, which I was kind of confused about. Like I was like, why would he need to amplify the magic stored in like around the capital? Um, but I think that's just a fancy way of saying that he can like imbue his sword with like magic. I think, right?
Yes.
So, because we actually see something like that later on. So, but I was really confused. I was like, why would he need magic? So, but anyways, the ceremony begins. We're up at top. We're at the colorless garden. That's the first floor. And like they go to this room, this ceremony room or whatever, and they start their ceremony um and with the blessing of color, which is basically just being chosen for a group, a faction, um which means that you're allowed to ascend further up the towers. Like you're not like you're picked and you're chosen to maybe have a chance to go even further, like the higher level. So, but there's an issue. Several people didn't get chosen, including Will and Julius. And it's explained that these people are basically worthless. They're peons. If you do not get chose, you're peons. And that if you don't get chose, you get stuck in the colorless garden, which is the first floor of the upper level. And you're basically forced to be the support of the upper mages. The first floor is like the foundation of the upper city, which is pretty cool to see. Like I didn't know it was like that big. I thought it was just a tower or something, but apparently like there's levels to it and stuff. So, uh, but they also have a chance to impress. They have a chance to get chosen again during the ceremony. They must demonstrate their abilities against a mid-level dungeon monster, and someone might actually recruit them still, so they still have a shot. And I was wondering, do you think like they can be recruited after this ceremony while they're working in the garden, the colorless garden, or are they or is this their last shot? Like if they don't get recruited now, like they just have to like live being, a peon or whatever. What do you think?
I think that there would still be a chance, but it is a lot more difficult to achieve because you ultimately have to do a lot more than what you would have had you just been recruited, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to need to really step up and prove yourself in those situations, which I think is going to create a lot more tension for for everyone that's not recruited.
Yeah. And like especially since there's like a lot. of people in the same situation, so it would take a lot more to get noticed in like a big crowd, I guess you can say, right? Um, it also kind of like makes sense that like the people that they seen in a colorless garden, it was kind of like angry and like very hostile towards each other. I think that's part of it too, because like they're basically like bitter that they're not allowed to, ascend further or whatever. And they're like basically competing with each other to some extent, you know what I mean? They're each other's enemies in a way. Um so I think it's cool seeing like this side of the upper levels because we had no idea. Like we thought that Magia Vonder was like it was just them up there, but it's not. Like, you have 50 people ascend this time and each year like you have people ascending. So it's pretty cool to see. Um I also feel like this trial of combat is kind of useless for Will. Like it's pointless because like he's already showed all of them what he could do in combat, like what he was capable of, but yet they still kind of doubt him, right? Because like now he's going against a monster that's weaker than what he just defeated in front of everyone. And like I like and these new monsters, the mid-level dungeon monsters, are supposed to make them see that he's worthy, you know. And I think it's kind of stupid, but like I get it in the storytelling aspect, but I also think it's kind of stupid because like why it's pointless. You know what I mean? What do you think? You think it is or not?
So I think ultimately that that guy, right, like the head guy
Aaron or whatever
is trying to say not even that. Um his name is something really
to
weird.
do with the
The weird eyes.
yeah, yeah, he had the shit covering his eyes, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, no. He so when the attack was happening and the guy was refusing to let
Oh,
anyone down, that guy.
okay, okay, I
That
got you.
guy I think wants to create any obstacle he can for
For
Will
Will, okay,
because he doesn't want the sword entering in where all the mages are. So
yeah,
he's creating any obstacle he can to not allow him to be scouted. So now he has to prove himself in this scenario where he doesn't have access to that cheat ability that he had. Are you still just as good?
yeah. I kind of see what you're saying, but then again, like like everyone has seen him, they're sitting there thinking like, but he can do this. You know what I mean? Against this, which is much more powerful than these
Well,
things.
all of his classmates thought that. Everyone else was just eagerly watching and waiting to see what
Yeah.
was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I do feel like it's a obstacle, but like at that point, then
Well,
why
here
would you allow?
I'll put it this way, Tyler. You watch sports, right?
Yeah, some
What's the
yeah,
what's the sport that you watch the most?
probably football. Call it
Okay.
not NFL.
Some new guy, right? Who you've never heard of before. Just comes out and now he's the starter. The starting quarterback, we'll even say, for your favorite team. You think people aren't gonna sit there and say, "Oh, he ain't shit. He's not gonna be nothing." Prove yourself first.
But the thing is, he did
That
prove
no,
himself.
no, no. He proved himself to all of his classmates, right? They have recency bias. See, they've
but
watched him. They've watched him their entire school career grow. They've seen what he can do firsthand. You're talking about everyone else who hasn't seen him,
but
right?
but didn't the
You
Magia Vonder didn't they watch him do that too?
again, you want to create an obstacle and he doesn't have access to that ability right now. Can he still perform?
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
That's what it is.
I kind of I get what you're saying. I still think it's pointless in a way. If if the Magiavando didn't actually watch him do what he did, like to save everyone, then it would make a lot more sense. But they did watch him. Or a majority of them did watch him, especially Aaron, because the dude that you was talking about, because he put Finn telling him because he's like, he stood out so much or whatever, right? And so I don't know. It's interesting to see, but but at the same time, if you have enough power to like do stuff like this, then like why give him this chance to succeed? You know what I mean? Like why not just say, "Oh, no, it doesn't matter. You're going to be stuck down here forever." But I mean, this is an anime, so obviously it has to progress at some point. So, um but yeah. Um I there was just a little tangent. So, but while all of this is happening, we actually get some insights on why Will wasn't chosen, and it's kind of what Nam said. Because the upper like bosses, like Aaron, Lord Aaron, and all of them, you know, they don't want a sword to be scouted this easily. That's why Elfie is so upset because she wanted to scout him. Like that was her first choice. Like she was so excited. She's been trying to scout him ever since he's been in school. She even says that she's been writing him love letters. I mean, scouting offers the whole time she was in school, and they was being confiscated or whatever. I thought that was funny. Um,
Being like
what is it?
parts all over the place.
Yeah. And like at that point, I'm just like, is this actually a romance story or is this a battle shonen? Because I'm starting to think that this might be a romance story in the second half. Maybe that's what this new story is about. About Will and Elfie coming together finally. Um, I think as far as Julius goes, we actually get to see kind of why he wasn't chosen. It seems like people respect him and like him, but they're turned off of him because he has ice magic. And I'm not sure if it's because they dislike Elfie and therefore they dislike ice magic in general, or Elfie kind of has like first dibs on him because he has ice magic and they're not allowed to scout him unless she says no or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? You think it's because they just don't like Elfie and they're like ice magic people, or so like we don't want them?
I think it's because he has ice magic and they can't really figure out how to make it work within their school of magic.
Hmm.
They all admit he's extremely talented. I would so scout him if he wasn't a mage user.
Yeah.
Like you can't make magic like different elemental magic work within your elemental magic if it's not compatible. And so I could see why they would be like, yeah, unfortunately, as great as you are, you should be scouted. We can't scout you.
Yes. So I kind of thought that it was like, I feel like Elfie is like the black sheep up there. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of like dislikes her because like she kind of does what she wants to do or whatever, and like she's praised, so much and all this stuff, and she don't want to have nothing to do with any of them, blah blah blah. And I feel like that was some of it too. It's like, well, maybe he's the same type of person as she is because he's ice type. I don't know. It's kind of what I was thinking as well. Along your lines too, like how would they use that? You know what I mean? So, um, but I feel like Elfie hasn't chosen uh Julius because she's like petty like that. She's like, if I can't choose Will, I'm not choosing anybody.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what Elfie would do, and I feel like that's what she is doing. So, if it wasn't for Will being up there, Julius would have a home, but because she cannot choose Will, she is not choosing anyone. So, um, but yeah, Will and Julius, they're putting on a show. Will is effortlessly dodging attacks right and left, slashing through defense and all. Like he even intercepts a like stray Julius attack, and like powers up his sword and makes it like an ice sword again, and to like show off a little bit more. Like it was really cool, and like they're just doing so great compared to all the others. All the rest of the colorless people that didn't get picked, like they're just like they're barely surviving, and they're not even able to like defeat anything, or whatever. So that's why I think that Julius and will end up being scouted by Elfie. Um, that's what I think. Uh, there's no way that Will has to stick around a colorless guard and then earn his way up. There's no way. I don't think. Do you?
No, I mean, I could see that there's gonna be like a lot more complications, and he'll probably have to do a lot more tasks up
Proving
in the
himself.
garden,
Yeah.
right? Not in the garden, but in the upper towers.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like he himself is going to be able to be scouted.
Yeah. There's no way they do not allow him to move on after he puts on a show like he does. I feel like I feel like it wouldn't be fair. It would be like probably uh some writing involved probably if they chose to ignore what he was doing there. So I don't know though, but we'll see.
Fair, fair,
I
fair.
But that is all I got for Wistoria. I don't know if you have anything else or not, but
I do not, and we got a bit to talk about with Goat Piece.
this time it is last like usual. So
Yeah, we saved the best for last again. Wistoria's kind of fallen off. It's no longer Game of Thrones esque.
Wistoria is now a 4 out of 10. Sorry.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. By the way, I'm just kidding.
uh, but no. So episode 1161, a dangerous deal. Loki of the underworld and Luffy. And it starts with Luffy standing on Loki, who can't help but be excited that he's finally on Elbaph. All the while, Loki's been trying to talk to him this entire time. Like, anytime that he literally opens his mouth to say anything, Luffy just cuts him off, and he's, like, so excited. He's like a kid in a candy store right now.
Luffy's definitely a yapper, so.
And upon shouting, though, Loki ends up summoning a bunch of wild beasts towards them. And this is where he introduces himself again. We actually get the splash poster. He's actually got a government bounty of 2.6 billion berries. So kudos to him. He's pretty dangerous, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy actually notices that Loki is all chained up, and Loki reveals that he's been here for 6 years. He's actually trained up to a tree right now, and this tree is actually the jewel tree Adam. Do you know what's so special about this tree, Tyler?
No, I actually don't. But they seemed like it was a special tree, but
I
they
will
didn't really
tell
say
you.
why.
I will tell you how it is special. For that, we have to go all the way back to Water 7. Do you remember the what tree bark the bow was made out of from the ship that Frankie was building?
I don't remember what it was made out of, but I know it had to be special because
It
they
was
had to
from the
pay a
it
premium.
was it was from the jewel tree Atom.
Mm, okay, and that's what
This
this
is the
is.
tree that their ship is made out of.
So I want like, is this the only tree, or is like there multiple trees of this kind on Elbaph? You know
That
what I
should be
mean?
the only one, but there should
Okay.
be multiple jewel trees in
Oh,
history.
so each of them's named a different name or something like that, right? Jewel tree,
Yes.
blah blah blah. Okay. And the Sunny was made from the Atom tree.
Yes.
That's
Which is from
interesting.
Elbaph.
That's interesting. I wonder if that'll play a part in something on this island. You know what I mean?
No, but it does help tie in more, and
Elbaph, yeah.
it will get someone excited.
Who's
knowing where the bark came from.
who's someone?
Frankie.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, surely he already knows, right?
He
Sort.
knows, but he's never been
Oh,
to the
he's never
tree.
seen it. Okay.
He's gonna actually be able to touch the tree now.
Well, kinda if Loki lets him, right?
The tree goes all the way up, Tyler. That giant tree on Elbaph,
Oh, so it's
that's
a big
the
tree in the
tree.
middle. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the jewel
I didn't
tree.
know. Yeah. I knew that they had a big tree there, but I didn't know that's the one that Loki was chained to. I thought he was just chained to another tree or whatever that looked big. So,
No, there would be no other tree that big that would contain him the way how he's chained up, right? Because
so
he's chained up wide, right?
yeah.
He's not chained up where like it's all the way back,
Mm-hmm.
which is what would happen if he was chained to any of those other trees. The jewel
So
tree is wider than a boulder though.
I wonder. So if there's other jewel trees, is each jewel tree like an island, like a like city, like island of Elbaph or whatever? You know what I mean? Do you know?
No, I mean, if I had to guess, it would probably be different style of islands with different residents there.
But it would be
Not necessarily.
giants, right?
No,
Oh, you tell you so the jewel trees are like spread across like the One Piece world, then, right? Is what you're
yeah.
saying? Okay. I thought maybe it was
There's
like
there's
native to
only a
Elbaph
few of
area.
them. There is only a few of them that Frankie had mentioned, and even then, like they might not even be around anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So, um, but that being said, Loki's also chained up with Sea Prism Stone,
Yeah.
making him
Obviously.
weak,
Yeah.
which is interesting because who's the only kind of people that get weak to Sea Prism Stone?
Devil fruit users.
Devil fruit users.
Oh, what devil fruit does this man have? We don't know. So,
you don't know.
yeah. Well,
You don't
anime
know. I
watchers
know.
don't know.
I know what he has though.
It hasn't been told yet to us. So,
that being said though, Loki wants to actually make a deal with Luffy. Turns out though he's actually just as bad and he ends up naming him Rudy at first. But if Luffy unchains Loki, Loki will destroy any pirate gang that he actually wishes. And it turns out that Luffy's actually too distracted by the beasts that are approaching. And that's when Loki actually reveals that this level of Elbaph is actually known as the prison level. And it's only reserved for betrayers, liars, cheats, as well as all sorts of wild beasts.
yeah. And I thought there's like, you know, obviously, Loki doesn't know Luffy yet, but I was thinking like, there's no way Luffy accepts a deal like that because like Luffy is a firm believer in fighting his own battles. Like he's not gonna like make a deal and be like, yeah, I want you to go take out Blackbeard or whatever. Like that's not how Luffy works. You know what I mean? So I was like, there's
No,
no way
but
he's accepting that shit. So.
I still think that he will do it just to free Loki.
Well, so like he's not
Because
gonna do it on he's
on
not
the
gonna
deal.
accept his deal. Like I've had no doubt in my mind that Loki will be freed because of Luffy somehow, but I don't think it will be because Luffy wants to take out a pirate group or whatever, you know.
Yep.
It's just Luffy. Luffy's just that person. He's just like, oh, there's a cute little pirate sitting here or whatever. Let me
So,
free him.
as all of those giant beasts are approaching, Luffy actually ends up going over there and making friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, there's a bunch of cloaked figures who actually have been living down there. Yeah. And Loki's even like insulting them and stuff. But yeah, it turns out actually that Redhair had just visited Elbaph a day prior. These guys dropped the hint that they didn't want to get knocked out like they did prior, when Red Haired was there.
Did they say a day? Because I missed it if they did.
I'm pretty sure they said it was like a day prior is the wording that they used.
Okay.
But we'll cover that in a moment as well.
Yeah, because I had a question that I'm gonna ask when we talk about it. So
okay. Loki, who's been taken aback by everything, is shocked that Luffy also knows of Shanks, and he decides to try and mess with him by calling him a cowardly pirate. So Luffy decides to go gear 4 and nearly take off Loki's head.
Instant. I never seen Luffy transform that fast.
Just so quick. And this is where Loki was like, "Hey, I'm only joking. Chill."
He's like, "That's something. That's not something you joke about, bro."
And then they actually get into like another little argument, right? But this is where Loki makes a deal that Luffy will take. If he frees him, Loki will tell him all about Shanks.
Okay.
Even though secretly in his mind he wants to kill him.
Yeah. And Luffy will take that deal. Luffy's gonna take that deal. There's no doubt about it. But my question was gonna be before you said something about a day prior. I found it interesting that Shanks did show up here because then I wondered like, is Shanks the one that sent the giants to Elbaph? You know what I mean? So that's what I was thinking. Like, is he the one that said, "Hey, y'all need to go to Elbaph and help Luffy," or whatever, right? So, but if it's just a day prior, that timeline doesn't really add up. So,
no. I think ultimately what it was Dorian Broggy read the paper and saw that Luffy was at Egghead and realized that it was a short distance from them. And that's why they went there, whereas Shanks is just doing his own Shanks thing, and you'll see more why later, right? You can't keep asking all these questions, Tyler, because I can't tell you the answer, and we can't theory craft about it because you're gonna get the answer soon.
But I thought it would be cool. I did think it would be cool if Shanks was the one that sent them over there, because then that means that Shanks is actually not a bad guy. Because I do think that he is a bad guy, as of right now. So I'm looking for reasons why Shanks is not a bad guy and not after Luffy. So
okay, well, spoiler: Shanks is a bad guy.
Well, we don't know if you're telling the truth or not. So
he's a pirate. Of course, he's a bad guy.
All of them's bad guys in that sense.
Exactly. So, anyways, Usopp and the gang, right, going back to them, are needing to cross the bridge just as it starts to shake. And this is when they realize that they're being chased by a giant following them up the bridge. And it looks like this is the sun god from the cage, as his body is charred in lightning.
Poor dude.
Just behind him are the other two giants as well, in tow. And so now the gang's got to go. So they start running. They get all the way, or they start running across the bridge. Then we go to see Hajrudin. Turns out he's on a completely different island. They're actually hunting a moose. They wanted to bring back something good for Luffy. And because they really have no way of carrying it, they actually have to carry it by hand to the ship. And these guys are using all of their strength, which is really odd to see considering that they're giants.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's a big fucking moose, Tyler.
That's a really big moose. And what they say is like that it's all for Luffy and no one else can have any until Luffy gets finished with it or whatever. I was just laughing about that. I was like, well, joke's on y'all. You probably won't get any because Luffy will eat it all probably.
So from there, let's see. I should have wrote them all down. There they are. we do get introduced actually as they're carrying it over to their ship. We do get introduced to the new giant warrior pirates. And there's only 5 members. They do actually list all of them. It's Hajrudin, Stanson, Rudo, Goldberg, and Gerd.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hajrudin and Stanson were together. Gerd and Goldberg were actually the 2 giants that they saw earlier on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Rudo is the only one that we haven't actually seen, but we're gonna see very, very quickly. Um, so back with Robin and Brooke, Robin's getting her hair cut just to look exactly like it did the first time that she met Saul.
It's just kind of touching, honestly. You know,
Yeah, and
I
just as they finish up, go ahead.
I was gonna say it has to be hard also for Robin. You know, seeing having memories. You know what I mean? Having remembered what happened back then or whatever. So
Well, I think ultimately she can go into this one a lot happier because
the
of
reunion.
everything that she's lived through.
Yeah.
And Saul was right. And
Mm-hmm.
she's excited to show him now.
Yeah.
But that being said, just as they finish, they come up on Elbaph Island. And the last image is a picture of a hand on the ground and someone claiming Mr. Saul has collapsed and isn't moving.
The happy reunion just got iffy. Nothing can be this simple in One Piece. So tragic.
What's even more tragic is we're not even going to find out in episode 1162.
Yeah, it's gonna
A
be
gargantuan wave of emotion.
probably next episode.
The dreamlike scenery of Elbaph. Yeah, yeah, you would probably be right on that one. Um, so Usopp's group runs up a tunnel while being chased by a giant. Upon reaching the top, we are treated to a large forest not covered in snow. With the giant behind them closing in, the group needs to find somewhere to hide. Meanwhile, we go back to Luffy, who actually ends up jumping back up onto the bridge. And when he does, he ends up meeting Gerd and Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Hey, you're Mr. Luffy. We've been looking for you." They're all like super happy and friendly, right?
Like cute little I love cute little humans. uh, uh,
um, but yeah, it turns out they're friends of Hajrudin's, and they're looking to help him.
mm-hmm.
And so they were asking why he had fallen down and what he was doing down there. And Luffy just gets this look on his face because he's trying not to tell what happened, but he looks so guilty.
Yeah, he's sweating bullets over there. He's just like, uh.
And luckily, Goldberg's like, "All right, we're not gonna pry. Let's
We
just
won't
continue
worry about
on."
it, even though it's probably something that's not supposed to be happening. Which this kind of leads me to believe that Loki is free now, probably, or at least has the ability to get free. Like Luffy definitely helped him by based on his reactions.
Or he's trying to get that key.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
From there, though, we are introduced to a young giant child named Colin. He runs out of a bar and he ends up seeing the giant ship approaching. And it's funny too because he was like, "Are you stopping by?" One of them holds up an axe, the other one holds up the finger pointing up. Like, no, we're going up. Um, so he ends up actually running inside, grabbing his bag, and he runs up to actually meet them, excited to meet Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, everyone knows of Shanks. Shanks is visiting the village. It's a big deal. Um, and so as he does, this is when we actually see Hajrudin's crew actually meet up with Dory and Brocky, who summon a rainbow.
Pretty cool, yeah.
The fact that they go sailing on a rainbow
Oda's cooking right now.
Oh God, is he? Um, Learning more about Elbaph, though, there are numerous villages on the island. Turns out that there's so many that we can't actually even see them all, no matter how much of a Panavista view it gives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's set in three different types of worlds. There's the upper world, there's the sun world, and then there's the underworld. And so, of those, right, everyone always lives on the sun realm because that's the one that gets the sun. That's the one that people can live on, right? The
Mm-hmm.
underworld is where Loki and traders and wild beasts live and stuff like that.
And like the astral
So,
world, I wonder what that is. Is that just like the moon, like the space or whatever, probably, or some shit? I don't know.
probably just so high up that nobody can realistically live up there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and from there we actually get to see Usopp and the gang, and Nami and Chopper actually lure this other giant that's chasing them into a trap.
Mm-hmm.
So, as they finally are running, right? They have Zoro cut a tree down. Sanji kicks it, and it ends up actually like slamming this giant to the ground.
He's like ultra rare Nami, ultra rare Chopper.
Such a fucking creep, dude. But just as the group are safe, or think that they're safe, we actually see Gerd and Goldberg come running up, and they actually call out to Rudo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is who was torturing them. That is who the sun god was, Rudo. They actually smack him with their weapons because they also think that he's a fucking creep.
I also like that he was like ultra rare Gerd. He's even calling the women on his crew ultra rare. Oh man.
Everyone is ultra rare. Um, but anyways, so from there, he turns out that this group has actually been waiting for the Straw Hats to lead them to the village and stuff like that, give them a warm welcome.
Mm-hmm. What warm
And
welcome did they got, huh?
indeed. But this is where Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper go running on ahead to find the village. Um, they keep running on top of clouds. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize the Skypea had made it all the way over here, but here we are.
Yeah.
As Luffy and the group are running on the clouds, we actually see Dory and Broggy as well making over the apex. There's a whole lot of like flashing around to everyone, right? Because it's the big culminating point. Usopp's even getting like this overwhelming feeling just as the village comes into view. We see giants working, children are playing. There's this like amazing view of everything, right? And the last thing we read, or we are read, is an entry from a book. Now, the book is called Bragman. It's been in the show several times, but this part is specifically talking about Elbaph.
Mm.
Gargantuan size is an emotion in itself. Who could ever find the right words to describe such a view? This is Elbaph Island, the kingdom of Warland. Commonly known by the collective name of Elbaph, it is a kingdom of giants. Grass, trees, vines, flowers, insects, fish, birds, and animals. Everything is gargantuan, and it is truly breathtaking. Adventurers, do not mourn your time here that passes, never to return. However, if there is one thing I want you to remember about the gigantic and mystic land of Elbaph, keep these words in the back of your mind. Do not overstay your welcome. Louis Arnott, explorer.
Kind of, kind of makes you wary about Elbap, even though I know that the Straw Hats are there, as guests. Like they was invited there, and like it's gonna be a good time and stuff. But I feel like they're reading this to us for a reason. There's something. Maybe there's something that we're not seeing that is going on that we're gonna learn about. Something that like matters that when you say do not overstay your welcome. You know what I mean? I don't know. So
So one thing that has been talked about numerous times, and something too that could potentially be related to something, right?
hmm
Going back and thinking of a day before.
the day before.
Yep. Shanks
What?
was there a day before.
Oh, yeah, okay. And you only stayed a day? Are you saying that like you shouldn't
Do
stay
not
longer than a
overstay
couple of days?
do not overstay your welcome.
Yeah. I don't know. I
A
like I'm
big theory is that time moves differently on Elbaf.
oh,
The rest of
interesting.
the world will be advancing while Elbaf is still moving at its slower pace because everything is so gigantic. So, Shanks, they say, was there a day ago. Maybe he was there a week ago. Maybe he was there a month ago. Maybe he was there, you
So
know,
my
an actual
theory
day ago.
my theory could be correct still about Shanks having them come help the Straw Hats, right? If that's the
Potentially.
case. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's that is a very very interesting way of saying that. Like do not overstay your welcome. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm curious to see what becomes of that, you know? So
No, absolutely.
I'm sure we'll get a confirmation sometime or another since we are in the end game. So I'm sure. So
Yep.
but yeah.
But that is all we have for Goat Piece.
Yeah, it was actually like really really good like setup, I guess you could say. I really enjoyed it. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens now because I think it's going to hinge on like Loki, I guess, and like that's all I've seen so far is like Loki, right? Like as far as like the drama, the the plot of what's gonna happen here or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see, but we will see pretty pretty soon. So this year probably, hopefully, right now.
Yes, I would say. It's tough to say whether we're gonna get the flashback scene that we should be getting, but
What in
um
for this season or
for
whatever.
for Elbaf, yeah.
Yeah. But we should be able to get it like this year, right? Like the second season or the second part or whatever, right? Maybe.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Which I don't even know what he's talking about, but I'm interested. If Nam is like talking about it, then that means we should be looking forward to it. You know what I mean? So,
It's
um,
huge. Like
yeah,
you thought the Kuma flashback was like good.
yeah,
It's got nothing on this because Kuma's was all about Kuma. This is the world
yeah.
kind of a flashback that we're gonna be getting soon.
So it'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to see. I'm definitely interested in what Otis got going on. So we just have to keep on riding it out and waiting to see what's going on. So, um, well, you got anything else for One Piece?
No,
Alrighty. Well, that is going to be the end of this rundown episode. Um, we will see you next week for something. I'm not sure what off the top of my head because I'm tired. I don't remember. So, but we will probably be doing something next week. So be on the lookout for that. Um, but yeah, we will see you next time. Peace.
Later.